Right, Bruno. So Angelique is asking you a question. I have a question about a body corporate and insurance. See, we only have fun questions today. If you need to claim from insurance for a burst geyser, is the owner liable for all the costs of the geyser and repair and replacement, or is the body corporate supposed to submit and get the geyser sorted out of and must they then pay the excess?
So maybe just to break it down to smaller components, what the general rule is that we often find that geysers are covered either through household insurance or covered through body corporate and the body corporate general building insurance, right? Which is very similar to household insurance. The only difference is if you have a house, the banks would normally force you to get that insurance. If you're part of a body corporate or you have a unit in a sectional scheme, the body corporate will normally cover that, which is one of the benefits of paying levies, right? 80–90% of the time, we find that the geysers are insured, especially for bursting and stuff like that. So the common answer is there's some insurance company somewhere that should cover it. The only times that we find that coverage isn't there is, for example, where the insurance was linked to the mortgage bond, and when the person paid off the bond over a property, they canceled the insurance because they thought it wasn't needed anymore, which I wouldn't recommend to anyone. You can change your insurance company, but don't cancel it, because there's quite a few nifty things like, you know, storm and a tree falls on the roof. You can get people to fix it. Anything that's not maintenance related. Now, this moves away from the question, but it's something so people know. So remember, insurance deals with insurable events, right? Which is typically things that happen that are out the blue. So maintenance, bad maintenance, things that should have been done, insurance companies typically won't cover. So just be careful with that. So very, very old pipes or walls that weren't built properly or something along those lines, they'll end up repudiating your claim, right? Okay, so now let's go back. Who is responsible for the geyser? Now, this question sounds to me like it's from a tenant because they refer to owner as the third person. If it is from an owner, they just refer to themselves as the third person, right? Either way, right? So as a tenant, typically the tenant's not responsible unless you did something to the geyser that would have caused it to break, in which case then you'd be liable for those damages, right? So now let's look at it from the owner perspective and from the body corporate perspective. Who would be responsible? Now, I'm not going to lie to you. There's a whole bunch of different insurance policies depending on the setup of certain things. So freestanding units, but within a sectional scheme, can have individual insurance policies as well, right? Where only the common property would be covered by the scheme, but each person within that scheme, because it's freestanding, there's no confusion as to who's responsible for what, they would still have their own insurance. So just bear that in mind. So the structuring or the way that the scheme is made up also plays a big part. If the units are connected and things are shared and there's pipes that run over other people's units, or there's a geyser in your ceiling, but on top of that there's another unit, things like that. That's typically where you find a situation where the body corporate insurance policy covers everything. I know with my unit that I have in Pretoria North, even though it's freestanding, the body corporate insurance company covers the geysers as well, because they take it as one big solid insurance policy. So even if it's freestanding, in that case, the body corporate would ask the owner to submit the claim, and even though the policy is arranged by the body corporate, it would be in favor of the owner. The owner would be responsible for the claim, and if the claim gets rejected, the owner would be responsible to take them on, to challenge any repudiation or whatever the case is. And excess would typically be payable by the owner if there is any excess. I can't actually comment. I know on the last geyser claim that I had, there wasn't any excess, but I'm sure that's not necessarily the rule. So yeah, that kind of should answer the question: who is liable for all the costs? Typically, the insurer would be liable for all the costs. The excess would be the responsibility of the owner.
Interesting one, Bruno. I recently had this question. If a body corporate has insurance for the body corporate, I'm just throwing in a brand new question now, but
Sure.
I found it interesting. I do enjoy insurance law, so this one made me think quite a bit. So one of the owners submitted a claim directly to the insurance company. The managing agent said, no, you can't. As the owner, it should go through the managing agent. Now, in my experience and from what I've seen, typically the insurance policy in a case like that, where it's the whole body corporate, common property, as well as individual units are covered, but then there's a policy schedule to say this property belongs to this person, this one to this one. So in my mind, depending, unless there's something very specific in the policy document, either the managing agent on behalf of the body corporate, the chairperson of the body corporate, the trustees, or the owner would be able to submit a claim to the insurance company. What do you think?
Look, yes, but it's the strangest thing, because I had the same argument in a couple of places where the body corporate manages the insurance policy because they're the ones that pay for it, they're the ones that engage and interact and all of that. But on one of the other units that I'm working with, the managing agent literally just threw it at us and went, oh, here's the broker's name, you contact the broker and speak to them. So yes, if the managing agent is being difficult and they want to run it through, do it themselves, I mean, that actually makes your life easier. So yeah, get one of the representatives, the chairperson, or get the managing agent themselves as agents for the chairperson or the trustees to submit the claim. Otherwise, if they're willing to let you do it yourself. But yeah, it is interesting. I'm not actually sure, because it's insured in favor of, and it's typically the person who is being insured that gets the benefit. So I mean, arguably it's your unit, so it would be for your benefit.
Yes.
So you
and
would be
effectively you are paying, because even though the full payment is running through the managing agent, well, the body corporate, you're still paying a levy towards that. So I can't see that a managing agent can ever stop or prevent an owner from submitting a claim directly, because that would have a negative impact on the value of your own property, right?
Something like that. It wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense unless there's some kind of mandate or something saying that they act as representatives, and it's limited to them acting to avoid situations where you have too many people calling in at once. So I suppose you could kind of have a facilitation agreement, but whether the body corporate is the insured, I would question that. I can't see how they would be. They would have certain things that they would be insured for as the body corporate, like the common properties and things like that.
Yeah,
but
misappropriation of funds.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I killed you there.
But yeah, no, it's an interesting point. I can't imagine even the body corporate themselves. I can't imagine the body corporate being the only people that can engage with the insurer, because you as the owner, you as the owner would have the actual value, the insurable asset, or whatever you want to call it.
Exactly. Thank you. That was a fun conversation.
Although, sorry, back on that, I mean, the argument there would be, who does the geyser belong to? If it's a stacked bunch of units, could that actually be considered to be part of common property or exclusive use property, or whatever the case is, which is in fact managed by the body corporate?
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
But if it does then affect the owner's property and the value of his property, wouldn't that anyway in return give him a right to approach the insurance company, for the simple fact that if the body corporate is dragging their feet, and it's causing damage to your property, wouldn't you have the obligation, not just the right, but the obligation to mitigate your damages by approaching the insurance company directly?
But so my counter argument there would be, if I have an obligation to you, which is insured, but it's still it's insured by me, but it's still my obligation to you, you would have a personal right against me, right?
Yes.
Yes. The insured event is between me and this insurance company. So it's the same with car accidents. So my car's insured, you sue me because I bumped into you. I can opt not to claim from insurance and I just pay you out of my pocket, or I can claim from insurers, subrogate the claim. So I suppose it depends on the wording of the policy.
Yes. And the exact details of that, it's going to come down to the policy document.
No,
Well, this
absolutely.
was fun. Thank you.
Yeah, it was.